Hello everybody, I'm Dr. Jennifer Anne. I'm the lead paleontologist and head of the Natural Science Collections at the Children's Museum of Indianapolis. And welcome one and all to the Jurassic Mile. So we are out in the middle of nowhere in northern Wyoming because that's where the fossils are. This is what we're coming here every summer to dig up those giant fossils. Some of you have probably seen us prepping them in the lab. This is their origin story right here. So it's a beautiful landscape, barren, rocks everywhere, and it's the rocks that have our Jurassic animals. So this field season we've come back looking for some neck bones. Previous seasons we started on the tail, 2019, 2020, we got the midsection, so now we're headed on in with the neck and going towards the hill. So this year so far we have about 7 cervicals, so those are your neck bones, ranging in size from about yay big to that big, and they're getting smaller going into the hill. That makes us super excited. That means they're going the right direction. Because you never know with fossils. Sometimes they play nice, sometimes you want to curse them out a bit. But instead, we just say thank you for being a good fossil and we keep on going.
We've got a much bigger crowd joining now. Jen, you want to introduce yourself again and let us know where we are?
Sure. Welcome everybody who's just come on. My name is Dr. Jennifer Anne, and I'm the lead paleontologist and head of the Natural Science Collections at the Children's Museum. So right now, my home away from home is here at the Jurassic Mile in Wyoming. We're getting all of our fossils, digging them out of the ground, jacketing them, listening to this very noisy grasshopper who sounds a bit like a New Year's cracker and sometimes scares us. It's the music back here really. But we're doing all that work, so at the end of the field season, they head on over to Indianapolis, be prepping those fossils back in the lab. Some of you have probably visited us in the lab. Now you're getting to see exactly where those fossils are popping out of the ground. So we have some shade here because it does get rather hot. It was over 100 degrees the past couple of days. So we're trying to make sure that we're shaded. The fossils don't care. They've not had to care for 150 million years. But we want to make sure that all of our paleontologists, we've got our team from the Children's Museum, we have some lovely volunteers, we have Drs. Manning and Edgerton here helping us dig, so we have a nice crew, everybody kind of in there doing the work because it takes a team to be able to get some of these very large fossils out and very intricate fossils. So we're all kind of in our groove right now, helping each other out, because the more that the team works, the dream works. And that's what we got to do. We got to get this big dinosaur out of the ground. For those of you who are wondering, what kind of dinosaur? It's one of the long necks. It's a group called the diplodocids. So they're kind of the long, skinny dinosaurs. If anybody watched some of the Jurassic Park movies, they're the long, skinny ones, not the ones that keep their heads up. So the one animal here is going to be one that we put on display. So join us, March 2022. Be there. It's going to be a big thing. Lots of fossils. But we're finding other dinosaurs in here as well. And it's a blessing or curse. You try to remove a bit of our fossil and you find another fossil. So there's probably another sauropod in here, and that's kind of cool. So if we go on down here, we've got our crew working. Over here, the team is mostly working on the neck, so those cervicals. Right there, that big white blob, that's the cervicals we found last year, so that was the starting point. And now we're continuing kind of up towards the hill, and you can see our team working. There's some brownish blobs in there. The fossils are a very dark color compared to the rock around it. You can hear the nice hammering. We've got all kinds of tools in there to get the rock out, everything from these hammers and rock hammers all the way down to little scuffles when you get close. So we've got that over there, and then on the other side we've got some limb bones that are coming from another one of those diplodocids. So we've got at least 2 critters in here, and it's slow work. It's one of those things that, you know, you'd love for it to just pop out of the ground and hop on the trailer itself, but instead it takes a lot of people a long time. And you'll notice some of these folks, you might see their faces back at the museum, handing out in the lab or in Dinosphere itself. So if you see them now, you might want to go and say, hey, I saw you on Facebook Live. And they'll chat with you. That's what we do. We like chatting about dinosaurs. You know, what's cooler to chat about than how you dug up dinosaurs and prep dinosaurs. And that's what we do out here, just the dinosaurs. I joke, we do other things, but it's mostly the dinosaurs. You also notice we've got some great rock around us. So what we're hoping to do in future years is really study the rocks that these dinosaurs are in, and that's going to really kind of paint the landscape. So instead of our dinosaurs walking on a blank page, you'll kind of get an idea of what the environment's looking like. So what kind of environment they're living in, what are the other critters they're living with. It's kind of fleshing out that narrative, if you will, and we're hoping that in the exhibit you'll get to see some of that really cool science so you can understand why we made the exhibit look that way. And it's all based on evidence that we find here and comparing it to other cool sites like this, other Jurassic sites. Some of our fossils are teeny tiny. We've had a tooth, like size of my pinky nail maybe, all the way to, you know, huge limb bones. We've got a scapula, so it's a shoulder blade, and some arm bones. Some of these cervicals are really big. So again, you got to go slow because you never know when you might find those teeny tiny fossils right next to the really big fossils. And you just kind of take your time. Which bones go to which dinosaur and how to prep them, and also a bit of like what happened to these animals after they died. So you have to take your time to make sure that all of that information is also recorded with these cool fossils.
Somebody says, wait, where is this? Somebody's joining later.
Hello, for people who have just joined us, we are in northern Wyoming. We're at the Jurassic Mile. Pretty much as in middle of the nowhere as you can possibly get, which always makes it fun when you're trying to watch the weather. Which even in Wyoming, it changes. You think Indianapolis is bad, you should be out here. It can change in 5 minutes. But we're at the Jurassic Mile working on our sauropods, so our big long neck dinosaurs. Currently working on the neck. So we've got several of the cervicals, the neck bones that we're trying to get out. Hopefully will also give us a bit more information about this animal in particular. So what kind it is, all that kind of fun stuff. The cervicals, I personally think, are very pretty. They're very difficult fossil to get out and very difficult to clean because they're so delicate, but they look absolutely beautiful. So again, if you have the chance to stop by our lab when we open again in March, come on down. We might be prepping some of these fossils. So please ask us, hey, was that the one that I saw? And we'd be more than happy to chat with you and share the stories about how we got all this stuff out. We've also been fairly lucky. Nobody's found a scorpion yet. I think we found one. But we also have to watch the local wildlife, so it's not just the fossil critters that are kind of fun and you got to look out for. There's help us move some of the larger rock. So every now and then, big old bobcat get moving with a lot of dirt. Also helps us clear off this area. But unfortunately, it's not a lot of big jackhammers and stuff. As much as people would love it that we just take a jackhammer and take it out in chunks, it's not. It's a lot of the smaller tools, and sometimes even getting down with the brush and cleaning up. Because again, you got those little fossils, so you might pick up a piece of rock, and if you don't clean off the dust, you'll miss that cool little tooth or that tiny little bone from a smaller animal. So you got to be a bit careful. We do know that along with our diplodocids, our sauropods, we get theropod teeth, so those are the meat eaters. So we've got a couple different kind of guys that we're probably munching on our sauropods. We've got some really tiny vertebrae that look like maybe some amphibian, so maybe like a salamander or a frog, and some lizards. We have a little fish fossil from this site. So again, all these little fossils that aren't dinosaurs, even though the dinosaurs are pretty darn cool, they're telling us a lot about what kind of neighborhood was this 150 million years ago? Because of course it did not look like northern Wyoming does today. It was much different because no way you're going to be an 80-foot animal and kind of surviving off the sage and juniper of Wyoming. So it's kind of fun to try to pick those characters out and reconstruct the story. So we get compared a lot to like CSI, except our stuff is much later. So 150 million years removed, a little bit trickier. But again, that's why you have a great crew, different people, different backgrounds, all being able to help add their specialty and their knowledge, their experience to this. And that really helps in general. We learn from each other, learn tips and tricks, even if it's just little tips and tricks on how to mix that plaster for those jackets for the fossils. And it's fun. You meet some very interesting folks from all over in this field. So hopefully someday when you guys are older, you might be out here with us too, because we've got a lot of fossils still in the ground and many years to still dig it up. So good job security there. There will still be fossils to dig up for years and years to come. Do not worry, we will not dig them all out this year. So if that was a fear, it's okay. We got lots and lots of room. You see this one small area that we're digging, and there's this whole other quarry that you can kind of see the expansion of. It's just one quarry. So basically we've got lots of years, lots of cool things to find. I'm so